It's time now for This Week in Rock and Roll History, brought to you by Tom Tayback. Take a moment to stroll with us down memory lane to the good old days, those rock and roll gold days.
Hi, everybody. Tom Tayback here. Happy to be your tour guide going back to the days of soda shops and sock hops in the gym. Let's start with this week in 1958. Buddy Holly enters the recording studio at Coral Records for the first time without the Crickets. Unfortunately, none of the tracks he lays down would become hits. Just a couple days later, Bobby Darin, or should I say Walden Casado, hits the charts with Splish Splash. It'll top out at number 3 and only took him about 10 minutes to write. 1959, Fabian's biggest hit, Tiger, enters the charts. 1960, Annette Funicello charts her 4th top 40 hit, Train of Love, written by Paul Anka. Looking at 1961, Pat Boone hits his 6th and final number 1 with Moody River. Also this week in 1961, Ben E. King enjoys his biggest hit as Stand By Me reaches number 4. 1963, Wipeout is released by the Surfaris. That's right, the Surfaris, not the Safaris. It'll hit number 2 in just 2 weeks. 1964, Sam Cooke starts a 2-week engagement at New York's Copacabana Club. A few things from 1965. Elvis Presley hits his 15th number 1 hit in the UK with Crying in the Chapel. The Four Tops hit number 1 for the first time with I Can't Help Myself. Motown releases Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. It tops out at number 16, while the Johnny Rivers version 2 years later hits number 10. Go figure. Let's go to 1966. The Rolling Stones file a $4.9 million lawsuit against 14 New York hotels. It seems all 14 had banned them. And the Beatles kick off their world tour in Munich, Germany, as Paperback Writer climbs to number 1 in the U.S. 1967, Aretha Franklin records Chain of Fools, which will hit number 2 by January. Also, the beginning of the end came for the 11 Spoonful when guitarist Zal Yanovsky quits after a performance at the Forest Hills Festival in New York. 1 year later, John Sebastian would also leave the band to go solo. Also this week in 1967, the Beatles premiered their newest song, All You Need Is Love, on a worldwide television broadcast of 400 million people. 1968, after placing 17 instrumental hits on the charts, Herb Alpert's very first vocal attempt, This Guy's in Love with You, becomes his very first number 1 hit. Also this week in 1968, Classical Gas by Mason Williams is released. It'll hit number 2 on the pop chart, but number 1 on the adult contemporary chart. And lastly, this week in 1969, Jimi Hendrix gets $125,000 for one set at the Newport Pop Festival. At the time, it was the highest fee ever paid to a rock act for a single performance.
If this is your kind of music, you'll love my Rock and Roll Showcase, featuring trivia and stories about the rock and roll stars along with their charted hit singles at Podomatic.com or on YouTube. Podomatic.com or YouTube. Just search Tom Tayback. That's Tayback. Rock and roll is here to stay, baby.